Alright, this is video number 20. We're going to start out as usual with some Danhauser. The first example is going to be switching between treble and bass clef, followed by a few examples in alto clef. Then we'll get to some Danhauser. I'm going to do an example in G major, and I thought it would also be a good idea to go ahead and include right off the bat an example in the parallel minor of G major, E minor, and then we'll have an example in bass clef as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at that first Danhauser example that switches between treble and bass clef. So we saw something similar to this last time. I skipped example 2. I definitely recommend you go ahead and take a look at that. But let's go ahead and do this one. It's going to be a little bit harder to group the syllables in according to beams, but I'd like you to go ahead and try to do it anyway. Really important, I think, for this, for score reading in general, is to kind of read ahead. So let's go ahead and try this one. I'm not going to take it extremely fast. We'll take it about like this. I'll give you a count of 4. It'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. So not incredibly fast. Let's go ahead and try it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sol, si, re, sol, fa, la, re, la. Sol, si, re, si. Mi, sol, do, do. Re, sol, re, si. Re, fa, do, la. Sol, si, re, si. Fa, sol, si, re. Mi, sol, do, sol. La, sol, do, mi. Re, sol, si, fa. Fa, sol, si, re. Mi, sol, do, sol. Mi, do, sol, do. Re, si, sol, re. Mi, sol, si, si. La, mi, sol, do. Si, mi, sol, si. La, mi, do, do. Re, sol, si, sol. Fa, re, la, re. Re, la, do, fa. Sol, sol, re, si. Sol, re, si, sol, sol. Alright, if that one's difficult for you, I recommend go ahead and pause in the video, maybe go back and try it yourself at your own tempo and try to speed up to the tempo we did that at. Hopefully you're utilizing the recovery method when you're doing these with me. But otherwise, let's go ahead and continue and move to alto clef. Alright, so we saw in the last video that the reference pitches are going to be do and sol. So I want you to you'll hear me grouping these according to kind of the notes that cluster around do and sol. So let's go ahead and do this one. We'll take it not too fast, about like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll go ahead and give you a count of 4 like that. So put an accent at the beginning of each of your groups. Your groups might be a little bit different than mine. It's no big deal. But do try to think in terms of note groupings. All right, let's do this one. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do, re, sol, fa, do, si, re, do, sol, la, do, si, re, do, re, do, re, si, do, sol, fa, la, do, si, re, do, sol, fa, la, sol, do, si, sol, la, do, do. Alright, if alto clef's difficult for you, you can try it at your own tempo. I'm trying to find a balance. I'm sure some of you already have some familiarity with alto clef, but let's go ahead and look at the very next example, number 5. It looks like this. There are a few more leaps than in the previous exercise, but we're going to take it about the same tempo and follow the same principles of grouping. So let's go ahead and do it. Give you a count of 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do, 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 sol, fa, re, do, la, sol, re, do, si, sol, re, si, do, re, la, sol, re, do, si, do, si, fa, sol, do, re, sol, la, re, do, si, do, sol, re, do. And I thought we'd do one more example in alto clef before moving on to Danhauser. Let's go ahead and look at number 6. And it looks like this. Let's follow the same principles of grouping. Read ahead. We'll take it at about the same tempo. Have fun. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sol, do, si, sol. Re, si, do. Fa, la, sol. Re, si, do. Re, si, do. Re, do. La, sol, si, re, fa, la, re, si, do, re, do, sol, do, sol, la, do, re, si, fa, re, do, do, re, si, sol, re, do, si, do, re, sol, fa, la, sol, si, re, fa, si, do. All right, keep practicing that alto clef. Let's go ahead and move on to some Danhauser exercises in his first book. Exercise 108 in G major. And this is the first example in G major we've seen. I'm going to go ahead and put in some stop signs, as we do have a few modulations in this one. So you can see in the second system we've got two stop signs actually. The first one we're going to go ahead and stop and do an E minor warm-up. The next one we're going to do a D major warm-up, and in the fourth system we're going to go ahead and warm back up to the key of G major. So let's go ahead and look at some warm-ups for these. You're familiar with some of these. The first one's the G major warm-up, which we've seen before, and it goes sol, si, re, mi, do, la, fa, sol. The next one's the E minor one, and it goes mi, sol, si, do, la, fa, re, mi, using the harmonic minor scale. And the last one's in D major, and it goes re, fa, la, si, sol, mi, do, re. All right, so those should help us orient ourselves to the keys that we're going to encounter in this example. Sometimes when I come to these stop signs, I kind of visualize on the staff the degrees of the scale that we're singing, because you know in these warm-ups we're always singing, for example, in G major, the first, third, fifth, sixth, fourth, second, seventh, first degrees of the scale. So it helps me kind of just to visualize them in my mind if I'm not seeing them directly in front of me. So let's go ahead and do this example. We're going to take it at the tempo indicated of 96, which is going to be about like this. 1, 2, 3, okay? So go ahead and conduct a 3 pattern, and let's go ahead and jump right in. Make sure you take these dynamics into account too, in the articulations. All right, I'll give you a count of 3. Here we go. First notes. Sol, 1, 2, 3. Sol, re, si, sol, fa, sol, la, re, do, la, sol, la, si, sol. Stop. Mi, sol, si, do, la, fa, re, mi. 1, 2, 3. Si, do, si, si, mi. Si, do, si, si, mi. Stop. Re, fa, la, si, sol, mi, do, re. 1, 2, 3. La, si, la, re. La, si, la, re. Re, fa, la, sol, si. Re, fa, la, sol, si. Mi, la, re, sol, la, re, si. Mi, do, la. Stop. Sol, si, re, mi, do, la, fa, sol. 1, 2, 3. Re, si, sol, fa, mi, re, sol, re, si, la, sol. All right, let's go ahead and move on to another example. I'm going to skip a few. As usual, I recommend you do those ones I skipped. But let's go ahead and look at example 113 in the parallel minor of G major, E minor. Looks like this. There's actually a portion of this that's in G major, so I'm going to go ahead and put a stop sign in 2 places. In the second system, we're going to stop in the third measure and go ahead and do a G major warm-up. And in the third system, third measure, we're going to go ahead and stop and do an E minor warm-up. So let's go ahead and do this one. We'll take it to the tempo indicated. You know the warm-ups by now. Let's go ahead and quickly do an E minor warm-up. Mi, sol, si, do, la, fa, re, mi. So the first note's sol. The tempo is going to be about like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll just give you a ready and, so 2 beats and we'll come in. All right, here we go. Ready and. Sol, mi, sol, si, do, si. Sol, mi, sol, fa. Sol, mi, sol, si, do, si. Sol, mi, fa, re, mi. Stop. sol, si, re, mi, do, la, fa, sol. Ready, and re, sol, la, si, do, re, la, re, re, do, si, la, sol, re, re, sol, fa, sol, la, si, do, re, do, si, la, si, la, re, do, si, la. Stop. Mi, sol, si, do, la, fa, re, mi. Ready, and sol, si, mi, fa, 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 si, mi, fa, 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 si, sol, mi, sol, si, do, si, sol, mi, sol, fa, sol, mi, sol, si, do, si, sol, mi, fa, re, mi. All right, and let's go ahead and look at one example in bass clef, example 158. Looks like this. It's going to be in the key of G major, but we can see right away a little bit of chromaticism and A sharp in the second measure. Take a look at those dynamics too, the crescendos, decrescendos, and let's go ahead and put in a couple of grace notes. So you can see, just because of that A sharp, I thought it might be a good idea to kind of reiterate that G in the third measure before we go up to Mi. And same thing basically in the third measure, second system. And in the second grace note in that second system, I thought it would also be good to get that F sharp from the G and to go ahead and use our memory of that C, which occurred on that mezzo forte, to get that B. So let's go ahead and do this one. We'll take it at the tempo indicated. We'll do a quick G major warm-up before we start. Sol, si, re, mi, do, la, fa, sol. All right, so the tempo is going to be about like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll go ahead and just give you a ready and 2 beats before we start, just like last time. All right, let's go ahead and do it. First notes. Si, ready, and si, do, si, la, si. Sol, si, la, do, la, sol, fa, sol, la, si, do, re. Si, do, si, la, si. Sol, la, sol, fa, mi, re. Do, sol, fa, la, do, si. Sol, si, do, si, sol, la. Si, do, si, la, si, la, do, la, sol, fa, sol, la, si, do, re, re, do, si, la, sol, fa, sol, fa, mi, do, la, sol, fa, sol. All right, and that's going to do it for this video. Next time we'll continue our work with syllable reading in terms of switching between treble and bass clef, and we'll continue our work with alto clef as well. In terms of Danhauser, we'll get to some examples in both treble and bass clef in the keys of F major and D minor. Other than that, I'm going to include a self-test or a sort of progress check so you can gauge where you're at. And I hope that you're enjoying sight singing and that you're singing with other people, because that's a whole lot of fun if you haven't gotten started with that. I think you're ready to do so. So we'll leave it at that for now, and I'll say as usual, happy sight singing.